Galway, with a very strong breeze at their backs, looked like pulling clear at times. That they didn't was largely down to a terrific scoring display by Johnny Dooley. Galway showed some nice touches early on. Nigel Shaughnessy here putting them 2 points up from near the sideline. Excellent play by the number 5. After a Dooley free, Galway went 3-1 up in the 7th minute. Kevin Broderick setting up Joe Rabbit, who showed his ability on the left this time for a fine score. It's been a busy year for the man from Athenry, what with his involvement in the club final as well. Dooley converted yet another free and kept Offaly in touch with a point from play, his 3rd in the 12th minute, the Sir Kieran's man making space on the left with wonderful skill. But back came the tribesmen, 3 in a row in fact. This point after 16 minutes was set up by Ollie Fahy and involved Dara Cohen and Kevin Broderick nicely setting up Fergal Healy. Galway leading by 7 points to 3. Yes, a good spell in the match for Galway and another big crowd supporting the new league format. Dooley with the 4th point exchanged frees with Galway and then Offaly cut the margin to 3 again. Paddy Mulhare and Gary Cahill the one to get the score, taking possession, making a better angle for himself. After 22 minutes, it's 8 points to 5. Still in the first half, and midfielder Ger Oakley in full flight, laying one on for Paddy Mulhare, fouled by the centre half-back Moore, and not much doubt about the free-in for Offaly. It was to be Dooley's 5th point, 4 of them coming from frees. He was in wonderful form this afternoon. He was to add another 30 seconds later, and then Gary Hannafy had Offaly on level terms 3 minutes before the interval break. 8 points apiece after this shot, getting possession second time around, and a fine score. Dara Cohen then pointed another free for Galway before half-time, but Cyril Farrell looked less than happy with just a 1-point lead at the break. Indeed, Offaly looked by far the more spirited side in the second half. Johnny Pilkington placing Paddy Mulhare after 7 minutes, and Offaly draw level. Now the question's been asked of Galway. And less than a minute later, Johnny Dooley once again, just flicking it outside nonchalantly as far as Gary Cahill. Out near the sideline, the angle shot sails over the bar. It was a wonderful score for Offaly. Dooley was to score 11 points in all. This one a towering free from almost 90 metres out. Sensational scoring. Offaly leading by 2 points and a real tour de force by the number 10. Galway badly needed a goal. They got one as Kevin Keenahan was powerless for once to prevent this move from reaching Alan Kearns. More like Alan Shearer. It was good to see Keenahan back after a long absence. Offaly banished the memories of last year's drubbing at the hands of Galway. Another 2 Dooley points helped the final score to be 18 points to 114 for Galway.
The crowd came to Semple Stadium Thurles for 3 reasons. First, to see the All-Ireland champions play and how they were developing. Also to see Tipperary and how Michael Cleary will cope with full forward. The Tip boys were missing John Leahy. Wexford got the first score with a point by Tom Dempsey, but all the way through Tipperary were the dominant side, and only for Damien Fitzhenry, Tipperary would have stretched their lead just 10 minutes gone into the first half. Aidan Flanagan's point-blank save brilliantly put over the bar by the Wexford number 1. Wexford marking was terrible. Look at this for a shot, free shot by Liam Cahill, which resulted in Tipperary's only goal in this league encounter. Damien Fitzhenry might argue, but I think he really should be giving out to his defenders. This was terrible defending, which gave Liam Cahill a free shot at goal. And that crowd that I referred to earlier, well, they came to see Michael Cleary play. He started at full forward. This was a ball that was sent in finally by Kevin Tucker, a clubmate of his at Éire Óg. It was a good low ball, beating out Ger Cush rather easily and straight over the bar. That put Tipperary in front by 1-6 to 1-2. But for the final 8 minutes before half-time, it was all Wexford, as they sought scores one after the other. Martin Storey, this time getting a slip as far as Tom Dempsey, and this was his 3rd point of the match. That reduced the arrears to 2 points, and it was Dempsey again just moments later. This was one of the scores of the first half. Michael Jordan was involved, trying to beat Paul Shelley to possession, and Tom Dempsey waited for the pass right out on the left wing. Very difficult angle. Even though he was wind assisted, it was a great point. And at half-time, thanks mainly to Tom Dempsey, Wexford trailed by 1-6 to 1-5. The second half was dominated by wind and rain, but Wexford sought all the time for an equaliser. It came again from Tom Dempsey, and Wexford were always struggling to try and get free shots at goal. Martin Storey and Tom Dempsey, and indeed Larry Murphy when he was introduced, were the most threatening. This time it was Michael Jordan that hit Tom Dempsey for the equaliser. Finally it was 1-8 apiece. But Tipperary were the most impressive performers in the final 10 minutes. Tommy Dunn got through here to make it 110 to 1-8. But the real hero of the day for Tipperary was corner forward Aidan Flanagan, scoring 1 goal and 7 points in all. This was his 7th point, first from play, and they put Tipperary firmly in the driving seat. Just as he went back into position, the ball came flying back in around the house, and once again he was there, opportunist as ever, to grab the slither and send it past Damien Fitzhenry. This was by far Tipperary's best performance in the league, and no doubt should in some way ease their relegation worries.
I think we'll definitely need to win one of the last two, Marty. That's either against Clare or Kilkenny, a tall order. We'll definitely need 2 points, if not 4, so that's for another day, but we were delighted to get 2 points today.
Laois needed to win at Kilmallock this afternoon if they were to have any hope of avoiding relegation. But they found within 2 minutes of the game that they were already in trouble, with a fine point here by Limerick full forward Shane O'Neill from the Napirshy club. Laois, however, did have their chances. Seamus Cuddy here testing out Joe Quaid, and he responded with a brilliant save. There were times when Limerick were under pressure, but all the way through, Laois seemed to be chasing this match. Pat Mahan set up Paul Delaney with their first point after 20 minutes. The scoreline now, Limerick 6 points, Laois 1. After 28 minutes, Laois got their second point with this brilliant sideline cut from Declan Conroy. Amazingly, this was to be Laois's final score in the match. After that, it was all Shannonsiders. But not before they gave Limerick a few scares. Brilliant save again by Joe Quaid here on the goal line, and a bit of a melee, but Joe Quaid stayed safely on the ball, and the referee gave a free out. Joe Quaid diving here brilliantly on the ball and doing very well between the posts. In the second half, Laois again attacked, but nothing seemed to go right for them. Joe Quaid in the thick of it, and when he wasn't there, Kieran Carey came to his team's rescue. They chased and harassed Laois, but all they could manage was a 65. At the other end, Limerick were scoring freely. 9 minutes into the second half, they led by 10 points to 2 when the referee, Jimmy Cooney of Galway, gave a penalty. Clearly giving the sign here exactly why he decided to give the free to Gary Kirby. Penalty was well struck and straight into the roof of the net. Limerick were on their way to the full league points in this match at Kilmallock. 21 minutes into the second half, and there was more of a disaster on the way for Laois as John Shortall, in his attempt to clear this ball off the line, actually kicked it into his own net. The scoreline now, Limerick 2-13.
All started in the very first minute by new young midfielder Vinnie